My fiancée accused me of cheating. Her father and brother beat me at my shop. So I pressed charges, exposed their lies, and now they are begging for forgiveness. All right, read it. Turns out proposing to a girl whose mom thought I was beneath her wasn't exactly my smartest move. But hey, at least I got a wild story out of it. Grab your popcorn and enjoy the show. My name's Damian, 29, male. I own a small auto repair shop, and up until a year ago, I had my life together. I built my business from the ground up, got myself a decent townhouse, and drove a restored '68 Camaro. About 3 years back, I met Evelyn. She was 27, worked as an office manager at some law firm, and people just naturally gravitated toward her. She had a sharp sense of humor and could actually talk cars without pretending she knew what she was talking about. We met at a charity car show, started talking, and 14 months later, I proposed at South Mountain. She said yes, and I honestly thought I'd hit the jackpot. The engagement party at her parents' McMansion in Scottsdale should have been my first clue. Her mom, Esther, was a pro at making you feel small while smiling sweetly the whole time. How sweet that Evelyn found someone so hard-working, she'd say, staring at my hands like they were covered in grease. Manual labor is so honest. Not everyone needs a college degree to be successful. Her dad, Philip, was even worse, a classic narcissist who thought everything he did was pure gold. Always going on about his investments, his country club, his opinions on everything. Then there were Evelyn's siblings. Her sister Tori, 24, had that Vela girl voice that could strip paint. Every time I saw her, she was either glued to her phone or making comments about how Evelyn was settling. Her brother Zach, 25, was a typical gym bro, constantly flexing and reminding everyone he worked at his dad's company. But I loved Evelyn, and she seemed different from them. I figured once we were married, her family's garbage would fade into the background. That's what my buddy Diego kept telling me anyway. Diego's been my best friend since high school, built like a linebacker, temper go from zero to nuclear instantly, but loyal as hell. He works as a welder and doesn't take nonsense from anyone. Just saying, her mom gives me bad vibes. He told me over lunch. Watch yourself. I really should have listened. About 9 months into the engagement, Evelyn started asking questions that felt off. Who'd you have lunch with today? Why didn't you answer for 3 hours? I figured it was wedding stress. She'd been spending more time at her parents' place, and whenever she came back, she seemed even more wound up. Looking back, I can see exactly when her family started messing with her head. But at the time, I was just trying to make my fiancée happy. One Saturday afternoon, I was under the Camaro replacing the clutch slave cylinder when Evelyn showed up out of nowhere. I heard her car, rolled out from under the chassis, and immediately knew something was wrong. "We need to talk," she said. I stood up, wiped my hands. "Yo, what's up?" She shoved her phone in my face. Blurry, surveillance-style photos of me outside a diner with a woman. I squinted and recognized her immediately. That's Sloan. We grabbed lunch Tuesday after she brought her Accord in for a timing belt. Bad answer. Oh, so you're having cozy lunches with customers now. Cozy? I almost laughed. She asked about part suppliers. We ate at Joe's diner. Evelyn crossed her arms. Why didn't you mention it? Because it was a 30-minute lunch about car parts. Should I also report to you every time I talk to the guy at AutoZone? Her eyes went cold. Don't be smart with me. There it is, your mom, I said. Of course. So Esther gets some creepy stalker photos, and suddenly I'm running around on you. She's protecting you from what? A guy who actually works for a living? Wrong move. Her face went red. You know what? I don't have to stand here and listen to this. She turned to leave, and that's when I heard tires screeching. Philip's Lexus slammed to a stop, and 3 people piled out like they were raiding the place. Philip stormed in first. You've been disrespecting my daughter, he said, pointing at me, playing her for a fool. I stayed where I was. You want to have a conversation? We can talk, but you need to calm down first. Zach stepped forward, rolling his shoulders. You calling our dad a liar. I'm saying your mom fed you fake information. Philip's face went purple. You ungrateful little. He swung before I could even react, his fist catching me across the jaw. My head snapped sideways, and I tasted blood instantly. Zach followed with a hard shove that sent me stumbling into my workbench. Tools crashed to the floor around me. I tried to throw a punch back and managed to nail Zach in the ribs, but Philip grabbed me from behind while Tori just stood there, filming everything on her phone. They took turns on me. Philip hit like someone who'd never been in a real fight, but Zach actually knew how to throw a punch. Got me good in the ribs twice. At some point I went down, and Zach kicked me while I tried to cover it up. And through all of it, Evelyn just watched. She didn't scream, didn't step in, didn't even look conflicted. She just stood there with her arms crossed. That hurt worse than the beating. Philip finally backed off, breathing hard. Touch my daughter again, and I'll put you in the ground. They left, every one of them. Evelyn was last. She looked down at me, bleeding on my own shop floor, and said, "We're done. Consider this me dodging a bullet." Then she walked out. I lay there for a minute, taking stock of the damage. Busted lip. Ribs felt cracked. Pretty sure I had a concussion. My shop looked like a bar fight had broken out. Tools everywhere. Drawers open. The Camaro still up on jack stands like it had watched the whole thing happen. I pulled myself up, grabbed my phone, and called Diego. "Yo, what's up?" "Need a ride to the ER. Just got jumped at the shop." Dead silence. "By who?" "Evelyn's family. Long story. Can you be here in 5? Diego showed up in 4 minutes. One look at my face and his expression went dark. "Where do they live?" "Hospital first," I said. "At the ER. The doctor patched me up while asking careful questions about what happened. Split lip needed stitches. 2 cracked ribs. Mild concussion. A collection of bruises that would look fantastic for weeks. You should file a police report," the doctor said. "This wasn't a fight. This was assault." From the corner, Diego nodded. "Listen to him." I sat there on the exam table, body screaming, pride shredded. Part of me wanted to let it go, walk away, start over. But a bigger part of me knew exactly what had to happen. They came to my place, on my turf, and tried to destroy me based on lies. That wasn't just disrespect. That was a declaration of war. And if they wanted war, I was ready to show them what happens when you mess with the wrong guy. Monday morning, I looked like I'd been hit by a truck. Both eyes bruised, lips swollen and stitched. Every breath reminded me those ribs were definitely cracked. Diego drove me to the station. "You're actually doing this?" he asked. "Yeah." "Good. These jerks think they can do whatever they want." Detective Daniel took one look at my face and immediately moved things along. I gave him the rundown, the photos, the accusations, the coordinated ambush. "You got any proof?" he asked. "My shop's got security cameras. Got the whole thing on tape." His expression shifted. "You have video of them assaulting you." "Crystal clear. Multiple angles." Daniel smiled. "Get me that footage, ASAP." Diego and I headed back to my shop. The place still looked wrecked. Tools everywhere, my blood on the concrete. I pulled up the security system on my laptop and burned the footage to a drive. Watching it made my blood boil. Seeing Philip throw that first punch. Zach kicking me while I was down. Evelyn just standing there like a statue. It was even worse than I remembered. We dropped the drive off at the station, and Daniel said he'd be in touch. On the ride back, Diego was quiet, which meant he was thinking. Never a good sign. "What's on your mind?" I asked. "I want to find these people and return the favor." "Not yet. Let the law handle it first." "And if the law doesn't?" I looked at him. "Then we handle it." That seemed to calm him down. A week dragged by. Slow days at the shop. Awkward conversations with customers who definitely noticed my face. I told most of them I'd been in an accident. Then I got a call from an unknown number. "This is Douglas," the voice said. "Evelyn's uncle. We met at Christmas 2 years back." I vaguely remembered him. Quiet guy, stayed away from the drama. "What can I do for you?" I asked. "More like what I can do for you. I heard about what happened. We need to meet somewhere private." We met at a truck stop outside Mesa. Douglas was already there. I slid into the booth across from him. "So, what's this about?" I asked. Douglas looked around, then leaned in. "What happened to you wasn't an accident. It was a setup. Esther planned the whole thing. My hands clenched. I figured. Got any proof? He pulled out a flash drive. Everything's on here. Esther hired someone to follow you and take those photos. She gave specific instructions to make them look suspicious. Then she spent weeks feeding Evelyn lies about you cheating, having secret credit cards, every kind of garbage. Why would she do that? Because you're not good enough for her standards, he said. She wants Evelyn married to this trust fund kid, Bradley something. You were in the way. I picked up the drive. What's on here exactly? Text messages between Esther and the photographer. Emails about the plan. Messages she sent to Evelyn planting doubt. It's all there. I copied everything before she had a chance to delete it. I paused, processing all of it. Why are you helping me? Douglas's expression hardened. Because I'm tired of watching Esther destroy people for fun. She's done this before. She sabotaged Evelyn's last serious relationship too. I stayed quiet then, and I regret it. I'm not making that mistake twice. That night, I drove straight to a copy shop and made 3 backup copies of the drive before heading home. When I got there, I plugged it into my laptop and went through everything. Esther texting her sister, found a photographer who could make anything look suspicious. This should be enough to turn Evelyn against him. An email to someone named Bradley. Give it another few weeks. Once she's single again, you'll have your chance. Messages to Evelyn. I hate to be the one to tell you this, but I saw him with another woman. They looked very comfortable together. It went on and on, a whole paper trail of manipulation and lies. By the time I finished reading, it was 2 a.m., and I was beyond angry. I was ready to burn their whole world down. Diego came over the next evening with pizza and drinks. We ate in silence for a while, and then he set down his slice with a grin. So, funny story, he said. Remember how Zach drive that silver BMW? The one Daddy bought him? I looked up. Yeah. Ran into it at the gym parking lot last night. Real late. Nobody around. His grin widened. Noticed his brake lines look a little worn. Thought I'd do him a favor and check them. Diego, you didn't. Relax. Didn't cut anything. He took a bite. But I did disconnect his battery cable. Real subtle. Loosened his serpentine belt enough that it'll squeal really loud and probably snap in a few days. And for good measure, let the air out of all 4 tires. You broke into his car. Didn't break anything. Popped the hood with a Slim Jim. Did my thing. Locked it back up. Whole operation took maybe 10 minutes. He shrugged. Guy's looking at a tow and some annoying repairs. Consider it interest on your hospital visit. I should have told him it was stupid, that he could have been caught. Instead, I found myself smiling. You're insane. Yeah, well, rich boy needs to learn actions have consequences. Legal systems handling the big stuff. I'm handling the petty annoyances. He picked his pizza back up. And before you ask, wore gloves, parked 3 blocks away, and the gym cameras have a blind spot in that section. I checked. Of course you did. Hey, if you're going to be stupid, at least be smart about it. I called my lawyer the next morning. Friend of a friend, handled criminal defense and civil suits. He went through the drive while I sat across from him, watching his expression shift from curious to shocked. This is insane, he finally said. We're not just talking assault anymore. This is conspiracy, fraud, maybe even stalking depending on how we frame it. They are looking at serious jail time. All of them. Mom, definitely. Dad and son for assault. The sister might skate if we can't prove she knew about the plan, but she's got an assault charge coming just for being there. What about Evelyn? Chris leaned back. Did she know about her mother's plan beforehand? Don't know. Don't care. Well, unless we can prove she was in on it from the start, she's probably not criminally liable. But in the court of public opinion? He smiled. She's done. I took the evidence to Detective Daniel that afternoon. He went through it twice, then looked up at me. You just handed me a gift wrap case, he said. Warrants will go out by the end of the week. How long until trial? Couple months, probably. But don't worry, with evidence like this, they are not walking. I left the station feeling lighter. That night, Diego came over. We sat on my couch eating and planning like we were plotting a heist. "So, what happens now?" he asked. "Now, we wait for them to panic," I said. And they did panic. 2 days after I dropped the evidence with Daniel, Philip called, his voice way less aggressive than usual. "We should talk this out like adults," he said. "No need to involve the legal system." "Talk to my lawyer," I said, and hung up. Zach texted from a new number. A long paragraph about protecting family and things getting out of hand, ending with some nonsense about settling this man-to-man. I screenshotted it and sent it to Chris. "This admissible?" "Absolutely," he said. "Keep them coming." Tori tried manipulation next. "Evelyn's devastated. She really loves you. Don't you think you're overreacting?" Diego burst out laughing when I showed him. "Overreacting? They beat your face in. These people are delusional. Esther was the only one who didn't reach out, which told me everything. Too smart or too arrogant? Probably both. But Evelyn wouldn't leave me alone. First came texts from different numbers, then voicemails. Then she started showing up places. She caught me at the grocery store on Thursday night, walked right up while I was buying energy drinks and acted like she hadn't watched her family put me in the hospital. "Please, can we talk?" Her eyes were red. Mascara smudged. "No, I didn't know what my mom was doing. She manipulated me. I thought you thought wrong," I said, "and you stood there and watched them beat me. We're done. But I love you. You loved the idea of me until your mom said I wasn't good enough. Then you threw me away like garbage." Her face crumbled, but I walked past her. The weekend brought more desperate moves. Philip's lawyer called Chris, trying to arrange a settlement. "My clients are willing to cover medical expenses and provide compensation if Mr. Chen drops the charges." Chris put him on speaker so I could hear. "How much compensation?" I asked. $20,000. I actually laughed. "Tell them I'm not interested. See you in court." The lawyer sputtered something about everyone losing in a trial, but Chris cut him off. "My client has video evidence, digital records of conspiracy, and photographs of injuries. Your clients are going to prison. The only question is for how long." Monday morning, Diego showed up at my shop with coffee and news. "Ran into Zach at the gym last night," he said, grinning like a wolf. "And he tried to start something. Got in my face. Told me you were making a mistake. That his family had lawyers who'd destroy you." "What did you do?" "Told him his family's lawyers couldn't argue their way out of a video recording. Then suggested he focus on staying pretty for his upcoming mugshot." Diego's grin widened. He didn't like that. Took a swing at me. My stomach dropped. "Please tell me you didn't. Relax." I ducked. He hit the mirror behind me. Management threw him out. Diego leaned back. "But here's the good part. The gym's got cameras. I filed a police report for attempted assault." I stared at him. "You're serious?" "Dead serious. These rich jerks think they can intimidate everyone. Someone needs to teach them otherwise." Chris loved it. Another charge. Another nail in the coffin. Zach's pattern of violence will look great in front of a jury. That week, I noticed a car following me. Black Cadillac. Tinted windows. Never close enough for me to see the driver. I mentioned it to Daniel, and he said he'd look into it. 2 days later, the car disappeared. Daniel called to say they tracked it to a PI firm Esther hired. "She's trying to dig up dirt on you," he said. "Looking for anything to discredit you before trial." Good luck to her. My life's pretty boring. That's what I told her investigator when I interviewed him, Daniel said. 3 weeks before trial, Evelyn made one last attempt. She showed up at my shop on a Wednesday afternoon, walked right past my employee at the front desk, and found me in the bay replacing brake pads on a Honda. "Damian, I know you don't want to see me," she started. I didn't look up from the rota. "Then why are you here?" "Because I need you to know I'm sorry. My mom, my dad, they convinced me you were someone you're not. I was stupid to believe them." "Yeah," I said. "You were. Can't you forgive me? We had something real." I finally looked at her. She was wrecked. Dark circles under her eyes. Good. She deserved to feel a fraction of what she'd put me through. We had something. I agreed. Right up until you chose to trust your manipulative mom over the man you supposedly loved. And it ended the second you stood there and let them beat me half to death. I went back to the brake job. Doors that way. They are going to prison, she said quietly. My whole family's falling apart. Should have thought about that before they jumped me. She left crying. Ethan, my employee, raised his eyebrows but didn't say a word. Smart kid. Diego came by that evening with takeout. We ate in my office, both of us picking at Chinese food in a comfortable silence. Trial's in 3 weeks. I said, "You ready?" "More than ready." "Good." He cracked open his fortune cookie. "Because after you're done with him legally, I want permission to accidentally run into Zach at the gym one more time." I smiled. Let's see how the trial goes first. Truth was, I didn't need Diego to get revenge. The system was about to do it for me, and watching these entitled jerks finally realize they couldn't buy or fight their way out of this was going to feel better than any punch I could throw. Trial prep ate up the next 2 weeks. Chris had me come to his office 3 times, running through testimony, practicing staying calm under cross-examination. "You're good," the consultant said. "Just don't get cocky on the stand." Diego came with me to one session. Afterward, we grabbed lunch at a diner near my shop. "You're scary calm about all this," he said as we sat down. "What do you want me to do? Freak out?" Most people would. I shrugged. Most people hadn't spent their 20s building a business from nothing. Work kept me busy. Ethan handled the front while I stayed in the bay, losing myself in fixing cars. One afternoon, he poked his head in. "Boss, there's a woman out front. Says her name's Esther." My wrench slipped. "Esther? Should I tell her you're busy?" Part of me wanted to avoid her, but another part of me wanted to look the woman who wrecked my life right in the eye. "I'll handle it." Esther stood in my waiting area, looking around my modest shop like it was beneath her. When she saw me, her expression shifted into something she probably thought looked apologetic. "We need to talk," she said. "We really don't. Please. 5 minutes." I crossed my arms. "You've got to." She glanced at Ethan. "Privately." "Anything you say can be said in front of my employee." Clock's ticking. Her jaw tightened. What happened was a misunderstanding that got out of control. I was only trying to protect my daughter by framing me for cheating. I had concerns. Perhaps I acted rashly. I laughed. "Lady, you hired someone to stalk me, manufactured fake evidence, poisoned your daughter against me, and orchestrated an assault. If you drop the charges, we're prepared to offer substantial compensation. Enough to expand this business." She said the word business like she was talking about a lemonade stand. "Not interested." Her mask slipped. The fake concern vanished. "You're making a mistake. We have resources, connections. You're just a mechanic. You think you can win?" "I don't think. I know, because I have truth and evidence. You've got money and delusions." Esther's face went red. "You're going to regret this." "Pretty sure that's your future, not mine. Now get out of my shop before I call the cops." She stormed off in a cloud of expensive perfume and anger. Ethan let out a low whistle. "That's the dragon lady who started all this." "That's her. She's the worst." "Yeah, but not for much longer." That evening, Chris called with an update. Esther's lawyer just filed a motion to suppress the evidence Douglas provided, claiming it was obtained illegally. "Will it work?" "No. Douglas had legitimate access to the files, and there's no expectation of privacy in family text messages. It's a desperation move. They are scared." "Good." The night before trial, I couldn't sleep. Tomorrow, I'd finally get to watch these entitled jerks face consequences for the first time in their lives. Diego texted me at midnight. "You awake?" "Yeah." "Want company?" "Sure." He showed up 20 minutes later with more takeout. We sat on my couch eating, barely talking. Sometimes friendship is just being there. "After this is over, we're celebrating," he said. "We're going to that steakhouse you like." "My treat." "Sure." At 2 a.m., Diego crashed on my couch and I went to bed. Next morning, when I woke up, I was ready. The Maricopa County Courthouse looked like every other government building. Big, cold, designed to make you feel small. I showed up in my best suit, the one I bought for the engagement party. Chris met me outside, looking sharp. Ready. Born ready. Diego was waiting in the gallery when we walked in. He gave me a nod. Esther, Philip, Zach, and Tori were already seated with their legal team, some hotshot firm from Scottsdale that probably cost more per hour than I made in a week. They all looked nervous, except Esther, who sat ramrod straight, still pretending she had the upper hand. Evelyn was there too, sitting in the back. Our eyes met for a second before I looked away. Nothing left there worth acknowledging. Jury selection took most of the morning. 12 people who looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. Chris had coached me on what to look for, but honestly, the whole process felt like educated guessing. Eventually, they seated a mix that seemed fair enough. The prosecutor, Angela, opened strong. She laid out the case step by step, the manufactured evidence, Esther's scheme, the premeditated assault, all of it backed by hard proof. Their attorney, a guy named Montgomery who looked like he belonged in a country club brochure, tried the family protection angle. These are good people who made a regrettable mistake while defending their daughter from betrayal. Right. Good people hire stalkers and coordinate beatdowns. I was called first, walked to the stand, placed my hand on the Bible, and swore to tell the truth. From where I sat, I could see everyone, the jury watching closely, Esther whispering to her lawyer, Evelyn looking like she might throw up. Angela walked me through everything. Meeting Evelyn, the engagement, the photos of me and Sloan. Then I described the ambush, Philip, Zach, and Tori showing up at my shop, how I tried to explain, tried to calm things down. The first punch from Philip, Zach joining in, Tori filming like it was entertainment. Where was Evelyn during the assault? Angela asked, standing at the entrance watching. Angela pulled up my security footage on the courtroom screens. The jury leaned in as the attack played out. A few jurors looked disturbed. One woman put her hand over her mouth. These are your injuries from that day, Angela said, showing photos of my bruised face. Black eyes, split lip, the stitches. Yes, required medical attention. Emergency room. Cracked ribs, concussion, various lacerations. Montgomery's cross-examination was predictable. He tried suggesting I provoked them, that my tone was aggressive, that 3-on-1 was somehow a reasonable response to a raised voice. Isn't it true you called Mrs. Taylor's parenting into question during your argument with Evelyn? I suggested Esther was manipulating her daughter, which, as evidence shows, she was. But you did speak disrespectfully about Mr. Taylor's wife. I spoke truthfully about a woman who'd been messing with my relationship for months. He tried a few more angles, but Chris had prepared me well. Stay calm, stick to facts, don't get emotional. By the time Montgomery finally gave up, I could see a few jurors nodding along with my answers. Uncle Douglas testified next. He explained how he discovered Esther's plan, the text messages, the coordination. Montgomery tried painting him as a bitter relative with an axe to grind, but Douglas stayed steady. The digital forensics expert confirmed the messages were authentic, unaltered, and showed a clear pattern of conspiracy. The doctor who treated me verified my injuries and confirmed they were consistent with an assault involving multiple attackers. Then came Evelyn. She walked to the stand looking like she'd been through hell. The prosecutor kept it short. Did your mother show you photos and claim your fiancé was cheating? Yes. Evelyn's voice was barely audible. Did you later learn this was false? A long pause. Yes. Did you attempt to stop your father and brother from assaulting him? Evelyn's eyes filled with tears. No. Philip testified with all the arrogance of someone who'd never faced real consequences. He claimed he was defending his daughter's honor, that emotions ran high, that he regretted what happened, but stood by his intentions. Angela destroyed him with his own footage. You're saying emotions ran high, but this video shows you and your son delivering calculated, repeated blows to a man who is trying to retreat. That's not emotion, Mr. Taylor. That's assault. Zach was worse. He tried playing the protective brother card until Angela showed footage from the gym where he'd taken a swing at Diego. Tori tried playing dumb, claiming she was just there and didn't participate, until Angela rolled the clip of her filming instead of calling for help or intervening. Then came Esther's testimony, the The highlight. She took the stand radiating entitlement like the jury should be honored she was even there. She admitted to hiring the photographer, claimed she was gathering information to protect Evelyn. So, you hired someone to stalk the plaintiff? Angela asked. I hired someone to verify my concerns by taking deceptive photos from angles designed to look suspicious. I provided my daughter with information. False information. Information you created through deception and manipulation. Esther's mask finally cracked. He wasn't good enough for her. Someone had to show her before it was too late. Angela smiled. So this was never about her safety. This was about class. About him not meeting your standards. He's a mechanic, Esther said, like the word itself was a slur. And you're a felon, Angela replied. The jury will decide which is worse. The entire courtroom went silent. Montgomery objected, but the damage was already done. Esther sat there realizing she had just admitted the entire motive on record. Closing arguments were brief. Angela hammered home the premeditation, the evidence, the clear pattern of conspiracy that led to violence. The jury deliberated for 3 hours. When they came back, the 4 women stood behind me. I heard Evelyn crying. Esther sat frozen, still unable to believe this was happening to her. Philip's face was pale. Zach looked like he was about to be sick. Diego was waiting by my truck, grinning like he'd won the lottery. How's it feel? He asked. Ask me after sentencing. But honestly, it already feels pretty dang good. Sentencing came 3 weeks later. The Taylors looked beaten. Evelyn wasn't there. She probably couldn't handle watching her family get sentenced. Judge Carver reviewed the case files while everyone waited. The courtroom was packed, even more so than during the trial. Word had gotten around. The entitled rich family taken down by a mechanic. Mr. Philip Taylor, please stand. Philip stood beside his lawyer. He tried looking dignified through the whole process, but now he just looked small. You orchestrated and participated in a violent assault based on fabricated evidence, Judge Carver said. Your position as a parent doesn't excuse criminal behavior. 18 months in Arizona State Prison, eligible for parole after 14 months. Philip's face went completely white. Zach got 16 months, eligible for parole after 12. Tori got 10 months. She tried crying, probably hoping for sympathy, but Judge Carver wasn't having it. Recording a violent assault instead of intervening shows a complete lack of moral character. Then came Esther. She stood like being in that courtroom was beneath her. Judge Carver's expression hardened. Mrs. Taylor, you orchestrated an elaborate scheme to destroy an innocent man's relationship and reputation. This was calculated cruelty motivated by classism and control. Esther opened her mouth to protest, but her lawyer put a hand on her arm. 20 months, no parole eligibility for the first 16 months. Additionally, you are ordered to pay $85,000 in damages to Mr. Chen for medical expenses, lost wages, and emotional distress. Esther's face went from white to red. She started to say something, but the bailiff was already moving. One by one, they were cuffed and let out. Zach looked back, probably expecting sympathy. I stared at him with zero expression. Enjoy prison. Bro outside. Diego found me in the crowd and grabbed my shoulder. Food. Now. My treat. We went to a restaurant near my shop, a hole-in-the-wall place with great burgers and zero pretension. Diego ordered a round of food. We nodded to each other. To justice, he said. To consequences. We ate. The food tasted better than it had in months. You know what the best part is. Diego said. They are going to county lockup first. Rich people like them. They are gonna have a real educational experience in there. I smiled. A real, genuine smile. First one in months. Couldn't happen to nicer people. Over the next few weeks, the fallout spread like wildfire. Turns out Esther's perfect life was built on appearances and Philip's money. With both of them in prison, the cracks became canyons. Uncle Douglas called me about a month after sentencing. Thought you'd want to know, he said. Philip filed for divorce. Wait, what? IS asterisk 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 you not. From prison? Yep. Apparently, he found out Esther's been lying about a lot more than just your situation. She had an affair. 3 years. With some country club tennis pro. Spent about $200,000 of their money on him. Philip discovered it while going through finances for their legal defense. I laughed. Couldn't help it. You're kidding. Completely serious. The irony? She framed you for cheating when she was the one actually doing it. Philip's taking her for everything in the divorce. The house, the cars, her precious reputation. She's going to come out of prison with absolutely nothing. Karma. Beautiful, poetic karma. There's more, Douglas said. Evelyn lost her job. The firm didn't want the negative publicity. She had to move back home, but the house is being sold in the divorce. Me? I was doing great. Business at the shop was booming. Turns out standing up to rich bullies makes you something of a local legend. Customers sought me out specifically, saying they respected someone who didn't back down. The $85,000 from Esther hit my account about 6 weeks after sentencing. I used half to upgrade equipment at the shop, invested a quarter, and donated the rest to a dog shelter. Diego kept tabs on the tailor through connections he had. Apparently, prison was not going well for them. Philip got into it with another inmate and spent a week in medical. Zach tried his tough guy routine and got humbled real quick. Tori was basically in protective custody because she couldn't handle general population. And Esther was learning that money and status meant nothing behind bars. 3 months after sentencing, I ran into Sloan at a coffee shop, the same customer whose innocent lunch had sparked this whole disaster. I heard what happened, she said. I'm so sorry I caused all that trouble. You didn't cause anything. Crazy people cause it. You just existed. Still, that's insane what they put you through. We chatted for a bit. Turned out she was single, funny, had a solid head on her shoulders. I got her number. We started grabbing coffee regularly. Nothing serious, just enjoying someone's company without family drama. Diego approved. She seems normal, like actually normal. Bar's pretty low these days. After Evelyn. Yeah, but seriously, she's cool. Around this time, I also got a dog, German Shepherd named Toji. Figured I could use a company, and he was a good excuse to get out more, hit the parks, meet new people. 6 months after sentencing, I got a letter. Prison mail. My first instinct was to throw it away, but curiosity won. Evelyn's handwriting. 2 pages of apologies, explanations, regrets. How she'd been manipulated her whole life. How she was in treatment now, learning to think for herself. How she understood if I never forgave her, but hoped I'd moved on to better things. I read it once, then I lit it on fire over my shop's burn barrel. Some things don't deserve space in your head. The Camaro was finally finished. Spent weekends cruising it around Phoenix, hitting up car shows, living life without the weight of toxic people dragging me down. Met people through the car community. Made new friends who appreciated me for me, not what I could do for them or their family. One Sunday, I was at a show in Temp when I saw Tori. She'd been released early for good behavior after 8 months. Looked different. Thrift store clothes instead of designer. She saw me, froze, then quickly walked the other direction. Smart girl. Learning finally. About 2 years after sentencing, Uncle Douglas invited me to dinner. Said he had news. We met at the same truck stop where he'd first given me the evidence. Everyone's out now, he said. Esther got out a few months ago. Served her full 20 months. Philip and Zach both made parole. How are they adjusting? Not well. Philip divorced Esther, took everything. She's living in a studio apartment in a bad part of Temp, working at a call center. Her friends all ghosted her. She's basically starting from zero. And the others? Philip's out living with his brother. Zach got out almost a year ago working warehouse jobs. Tori's been out over a year still working retail. I nodded. Processing. They'd all fallen so far from their McMansion pedestal. Do you feel bad for them? Douglas asked. No, they made choices. These are consequences. I'm just glad I'm not in their position. You did the right thing. You know, standing up for yourself. Thanks for helping me do it. Douglas smiled. Someone had to. Family doesn't mean covering up crimes. Present day, I'm better than I've been in years. Business is thriving. Dating Sloan exclusively. And she's nothing like Evelyn. Strong, independent. Calls me out when needed. No family drama because a family is actually normal people. Diego's still my best friend. Still has anger issues. Still got my back. Some things don't change. Last I heard, Esther was trying to reach out to Evelyn, but Evelyn was finally setting boundaries. Too little, too late. Philip was reportedly bitter and alone. Zach was still trying to rebuild his life, and Tori was working 2 jobs, trying to pay off legal fees. As for me, I'm living my best life while they're living with consequences. That's not revenge, that's justice. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come.